Today we are continuing with Global Health Series, number 45. Remember, the emphasis is on health prevention. How do we prevent people from dying so young? And we deal with life expectancy almost in all our series. My name is Professor Silvanus Okeke. Today we want to compare Finland and Liberia. Finland has a life expectancy of 81 years. Liberia has a life expectancy of 62 years. You look at the differences, you see almost 20 years apart. When people are born at the same time, both in Finland and Liberia, the man in Finland stays 81 years, the one in Liberia stays 62 years. Natural environment is a contributory factor. In some of the developed countries, including Finland, you have very made out green environment, greenish leaves, the environment is good, people come out there, you receive good fresh air. Whereas in Liberia, you have under natural environment, places that are stuffy, places that are crowded, and that's one of the contributory factors to the Ebola disease. Diseases always coming when you have a filthy environment, and we saw people dying in their thousands. So natural environment is good, and that's one of the things the policymakers ought to be thinking about too. You don't just think of food or think of the economy or money, whereas the environment is so bad. In Finland too, you have good schools, you have good work sites, where people go to school, the children and the rest of them is decent. In Liberia, it's the opposite. The schools are muddled up, stuffy, crowded, and then what do you expect from there? People not living very long. The housing in Finland is better. The housing in Liberia is awkward. Those are things we need to consider. Even when in Liberia, like most of the West African countries, they build strong houses with bricks, beautiful houses, but it doesn't end there. If you build all these houses, you don't take care of them, you don't paint them, you don't renovate them, you don't care about how the house is looking, the environment around the housing, then you are not contributing anything but sickness, diseases. And that's what is happening in Liberia when you compare that to Finland. Then we have physical hazards. Hazards that will always bring a very rough environment to people, like you have in Liberia, but not in Finland. Where there are physical hazards, don't expect the people to live so long. The built environment in Finland is also better. Bridges, houses, roads, all the environment that is built physically is better in Finland than what you have in Liberia. When you talk of whole roads with potholes, roads that are so bad, not well made out, they don't even take care of them. How do you expect the people to live and die within the same period? Then you also have physical barriers. In Finland, the disabled people are catered for. They make way for how they move, how they go, where they park. Nobody cares about that in Liberia. Those physical barriers are very important. Those are some of the factors you see in the underdeveloped countries why people don't live very long. Then you have social support, of course. Where there is social support, where there is good mingling, when people interact with each other, help each other, support each other, then you expect them to live longer. And that's what you have in Finland as compared to what you have in Liberia. And these days of massive unemployment, where people are not even employed, people are there chasing how to eat, how to survive, like in Liberia, where there are no jobs and the rest of them. So you don't expect that kind of good social support in that country. And that is why we have all these problems. So for policymakers, they need to look at these issues. Issues of the natural environment, no matter the kind of country we are talking about. issues surrounding schools, how schools are made out, how they are catered for, work sites, housing environment within the area, the housing, how clean is the place, how clean are the houses, how do they build the houses, is it with planks, is it with bricks. They should look at physical hazards in the country, because these are contributory factors to why people live longer or shorter lives. They look at the bridges, the roads, not places with potholes where people can't even travel. The cars are rugged. They look at the kind of physical barriers they have. Do they make way for disabled people? I know in some of the underdeveloped countries, when they see disabled people, instead of thinking of having access, they start laughing at them. As, oh, this man is lame, oh, this one is this, without thinking of how to care for them. These are very bad factors why people die very young in all these underdeveloped countries. They should look at the social support and ensure that these things are things that contribute to people living longer or shorter. If the policymakers in Finland are doing so well, why not the policymakers in Liberia? Is it only carrying people's money, stealing people's money to dump overseas or some other places that they know how to do? They should take care of their people and people will live longer. Those are some of the issues we are considering in all these countries. And we will continue from there and look at some other countries. Have a good day.